Hi, my name is Galina. I'm the CEO and founder of YOLO Real Estate. And today I'm so happy to welcome my precious guest, who is
Thank you.
Liam Jeffrey, the partner of Swiss Property. And this is the gentleman who's been to the market for a while, if we speak about Dubai real estate market. And I'm so curious about your experience because you experienced both being an agent
Yep.
and then being a representative of the developer. And I find this experience such a health mix, of
Yeah,
both. And I'm very, very curious about how you came to the point where you are at today.
sure.
Thank you
Okay.
for coming.
No problem. Nice. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's definitely been a journey, and it's good. It's interesting for me to have been on both sides of the table to see how it is to be an agent and also with developer. It's definitely totally different, but also different times as well. The market's changed so much in my 11 years that I've been here. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's been
that's a
a good
lot.
journey.
Where are you from initially?
Initially from a small town called Wigan. You won't know where Wigan is.
No.
Manchester, do you know
Yes,
Manchester?
yes.
Yeah, so I would always say Manchester to people unless they're from like the UK. But even people in the UK, some don't really know where Wigan is. So yeah, it's a small town just outside of Manchester, very different to Dubai. But yeah, it's a great place, but lack of opportunity, I would say. So that's why we ended up moving to Dubai. Just wanted to do more, and yeah, here we are, still going strong. We've no plans to leave. We're happy here. We'll stay
Your
for the long
home.
term. Yeah,
Dubai is your home now.
yeah, for sure. I think for the first 4 years, I always imagined that I would be sat on the plane one day and Dubai would be finished and I would be leaving. And I always said to myself, while you're here, make the most of it, because you're going to be sat on that plane and Dubai is just going to be a chapter and you're going to be moving on. But then after sort of 4 or 5 years of being here, I kind of realized that we're never gonna leave. Maybe one day, but no plans to leave. Why would we leave? It's everything's here. We love it. I remember one time we landed in the UK, Manchester, and we wanted to go for a meal. It was Christmas time, and it was about 9 p.m. And we're like, right, let's go out and get some food. And we were looking on Google, and everything was closed. And that was a point where I just realized that, you know,
Where
the
is my
lifestyle
Dubai?
is so
Where is my
different.
Dubai?
Yeah, yeah. So that was a bit of a moment where I thought the lifestyle we have, it's so good in Dubai. If we could go anywhere at 9 p.m. in Dubai. There's so many places, and not the only reason, a little small thing, but that was definitely a trigger for me to start to think about my future. And there's just no reason for me to go back.
But I'm always so curious how people come
Yeah,
to real estate because this is the field, people come from all different professions, all different work experiences, and then they just meet at this spot.
yeah,
But nobody actually is planning to become like, when you grow, who you want to become when you grow up. We are not planning to be real estate brokers
true.
or, yes, or sell real estate. How did you come to real estate?
So I was in the UK and I was always involved in sports. It was a very sporty family. Me, my brother, my sister was a gymnast for Great Britain.
Oh.
Me and my brother, we played golf, boxing, all types of sports. So very competitive. And I really got addicted to golf quite late, but I was very serious and I played almost full time. I left university to play golf full time at a good level. And I just, I kind of started late and realized I probably wasn't going to make it as a professional golfer, like on the tour, anytime soon. I was probably maybe 20, 22 range age. And, an option when you're good at golf is that you can become a professional teacher. So I thought, maybe I'll do that. I'll become a PJ qualified teacher. So I started the process for that. And part of the process to become a professional golf instructor is called a PGA instructor. You have to be working in a golf shop for 3 years and you have to do a course. But after 1 year of working in the golf shop, I really realized that it just wasn't exciting enough for me. As well, there was not much money doing that. And I didn't really have a passion for the teaching side of golf. I like to play and compete, but teaching wasn't really my passion. But during the time in the shop, I did kind of realize that I'm good with people and communication, and there was a little bit of sales, which I liked. So then I started to explore options on what I should do next, and still hadn't thought about real estate at this point. I sent my CV out, and I think having the experience I had, didn't really have much choice. Sales was just an obvious thing to look into. And a recruitment company reached out to me. They were a big company in the UK called Hayes Recruitment. And I remember going through the interviews. I was really excited. It was like the first time I'd worn a proper suit, going into the city in Manchester. And yeah, I really wanted that job. I was desperate. But I think there was maybe 3 or 4 rounds of recruitment. It was really nice how they had the process for recruitment, because I really felt like I'd achieved something to get to the next level. Anyway, the final interview was at the branch where I would be working if I got the job, with the branch manager, which was a small office, maybe just the size of this room in Wigan. And I just didn't click with the interviewer. We did with the head of the branch, and for whatever reason, it didn't go well. The interview didn't go well, and I remember leaving being a little bit nervous, but I thought I'd still get the job, And then they called me to say I didn't get the job, and I felt so sick. I was devastated. It was like I was so depressed. I was like, I'm going to be stuck working in the golf shop for the rest of my life. And when I look back, I always say, like, I should have got that job. I was good enough for that job. But if I would have got that job, who knows? I wouldn't be here now in Dubai, and my whole life would have been different. So sometimes a lesson is that you might think it's a really bad situation, and I'd never really been through an interview process before where I've not got the job, and it was like a big thing for me at the time to not get the job, and it was emotional, and I was depressed, but it was such a good thing that I didn't get the job, because I'd have just been working in my hometown, probably still stuck there now, doing something basic. But then I started to send my CV out to a few different places, and we used to go to the airport, believe it or not, as entertainment, something to do. There isn't much to do in
totally different
in my town, so we would go on the week when it was nice weather. We would go to the airport, and we'd watch the planes land. Not like every day, but every now and then we'd go and watch the planes. And I remember seeing the A380, and I thought, oh, wow, imagine being on that plane going to Dubai. It would be the best thing ever. I'd never even been to Dubai, hadn't really thought about it. And then it just so happened that a position came up for a role in Dubai on the recruitment portal. And I put my CV forward, and they called me for an interview. But it was in London. I couldn't make it. It was for financial services. And that got me really excited about Dubai. So then I put my CV out to Dubai opportunities, and a real estate company contacted me called Smith & Ken. Mm-hmm. So Smith & Ken in 2013 were a really big company. They were probably the biggest, so the owner is friends with Lewis, who owns Allsop. They kind of started at the same time. So it was that kind of level. And yeah, I didn't really speak to anybody else. I had the phone call. I did the interview on Skype. They did the interview at 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I think they wanted to see if you would be like
answering this early.
Yeah, exactly. Because Sunday morning, most people would go out on a Saturday night. So I think if you could be on a call at 7:30 in the morning, it showed some form of discipline. So I think that's why they did it, which was, again, smart. But I don't drink anyway, so it was fine for me. I was fine. I did the interview. It went well. And I remember going back to my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and I said, we're moving to Dubai, And she was like, what are you talking about? Go back to sleep. And but I was like, that's it, we're going to Dubai. I knew the interview would have gone well before I even got the job, and I was like, okay. Then I think that was May, and we came out in June. So within a month from never even thinking about Dubai to coming to Dubai was just 1 month. But I had nothing to lose. I was working in a golf shop. I liked the people I was working with. It's a good place, but it wasn't going to be me. I always had bigger visions. So then, yeah, that was pretty much it. Everything happened super fast, and then came to Dubai, and that's how I got introduced to real estate. And at the company where I started working, because I hadn't really had a proper job before I went there, they created a position for me called, what's it called? Renewals negotiator or something. So I expected to get an area and start in rentals. That was what I went for to Dubai. And they probably thought, this guy's not really got any experience. I don't think he's probably not going to make it, because a lot of people would come and within a few months they would just go back. It was a lot harder those days, I think, to break into real estate and start to make money. So there's a lot of turnover. And they put me in renewals, and it was great because I would get a notification on my email to say this contract that was done by one of our staff last year is about to come for renewal. Please contact the owner and landlord, the owner and the tenant, and arrange the renewal for the tenancy contract. And they gave me a script to say, and minimum was 2,000 dirhams per deal. And in my first week, I was like doing renewals. I remember we pressed the buzzer. And I was pressing the buzzer all the time, every few days, and everyone was thinking, for 2,000 dirhams, I was pressing the buzzer, and everyone was thinking, what the hell?
So interesting.
So I was pressing the buzzer, and in my first month, I made 40,000 dirhams as a gross commission, which was bigger than most. For renewals, not rentals, just renewals. So each one was 2,000. But I did a deal with a Saudi prince in the Burj Khalifa. We did a completely new contract, so that was a good one. Started to meet some good people. We became friends actually for a while. We even went out watching the football, and that was a 2-bed in the Burj Khalifa. So that was exciting. And then I went on. They obviously thought, okay, this guy can do rentals, so I went to do rentals on the Palm Jumeirah then, and that was okay. That was good.
Not a bad area.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at the time, you only had Palm, Marina, downtown,
and that's it.
Emirates Living. That was it, really. That was the main area. So to do Palm, it was great. And telling my friends back home that I'm a specialist on the Palm and showing them. I remember going into the Shoreline apartments and being like, this is
bet this first guy who didn't hire you, he was like, later on, he was one of your subscribers on YouTube.
Maybe.
Like, oh,
yeah,
I should have hired this guy.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it was good fun. I really enjoyed it. I then went on to sales and started working in sales on the Palm Jumeirah, so kind of natural transition to sales. And yeah.
Do you remember your first sales deal?
Yeah, I do remember the first sales. It took me a little bit of time, maybe a month or so, to make my first sales. And it was a Thursday evening. I was working late. I always kind of work late, just to make extra calls. And I was just calling I was speaking to some of the owners in the area, and it was Palm Views, the studios. And I spoke to a guy and I pitched him. I had a really good deal on a Palm Views, which was at the time, I think, maybe 20% above the premium of the original price. And I was calling so many people, and everyone was like, okay, yeah, fine. Let me think about it. And this guy said, yeah, okay, sounds great. Let's go for it. Let's do it. And I was like, really? I thought it was a joke. I didn't really believe that he was going to buy it. And he said, yeah, that sounds like a really good deal. What's the process? I didn't really know. I'd never done a sale before. And no one was in the office because it was like 8 p.m. The guy was in the UK. That's why it was late. And then, yeah, over the weekend, we managed to put a deal together. In those days, you would make your own contracts. There was no Form F. So your contract, so there's one thing to do a deal on agreeing a price, but it was another thing to actually agree on the contract.
Oh.
And at that company where we were, the contracts were very difficult. They were very much in favor of the brokerage. So the 10% check that you give now, you hold it, right? In those days, the check would be written out to the real estate company for 10%. Once the check clears in the company accounts, only then would we agree that it's a deal and start the conveyancing process. So that was, nobody really wants to give a 10% check up front. It's a lot of money. So that was, I always remember not being too excited when you agreed the deal. It was more about signing the contract. That was the challenge. And there was a lot of negotiations on different clauses. Form F is so much easier now because you just add a few important things at the end. Online. But the basis of the contract is, you can't change
already
it. Right?
Inside.
Yeah, which is much better, I think.
Do you remember the price of this property? That was interesting.
Yeah, it was like it was around 1 million, maybe just around 1 million.
Oh,
yeah.
Back then,
yeah. It's around 1 million dirhams, I think, maybe 1.2 or something like that.
What is the price now for this property?
I've no idea.
But
you know what? That was 2013, 14. That was pretty much. That was the market had really gone up since 2008 crash. So 2013 was going up every week, and that's why on renewals it was quite easy because the landlord always wanted to increase the rent. So the tenant was happy to pay me some money if I could negotiate something with the landlord.
To keep it as it is.
Exactly. Then 2014 came. I think mid to end of 2014, the oil market dropped by 50%, and a few things happened globally, and then we really saw kind of prices slowly declining almost all the way up until COVID times. So predominantly most of my sales experience was in a declining market. which is obviously completely different to what we have now over the last few years.
Yes. What is the main difference? I mean, how can you see these red flags that the market is going down?
I don't think you can. And
Or maybe at what point do you feel?
yeah,
Because obviously it's not like dropping. It starts slowing down and moves slowly. But what is the moment when you feel that the market is going down?
for me, I don't tend to comment too much on the market. And the reason for that is after 11 years, I realized that nobody knows. Nobody knows.
That's right.
And not only in real estate, this is all over the world. You have a general long-term theme. Real estate, we know over the long term is a great investment. Over the short term, nobody truly knows because there's so much going on around the world which you could never understand.
And any single thing can affect.
And any single thing can affect. So I think as a job as an agent is not to
Predict what's going
predict
on. Okay,
because
right.
you don't know, you know. And I think the job as an agent is to negotiate the best possible deal for both sides at the time, at the snapshot of time that you're doing the deal.
Yeah.
To assist, to give like advice and make sure the process goes smooth. And if somebody wants to buy a house or needs to buy a house, the agent is there to help facilitate that. And maybe if an investor wants to have something for a long term, you can say it's a great area and it's a good long-term prospect. But, you know, I see a lot of people now, you know, selling things and promising a certain return in a year or two. It's not my style. It's not my. Maybe they know something I don't, but I don't believe that they know. They can be lucky, and over the past few years, I'm sure a lot of agents have promised great returns, and they've delivered great returns. But I've seen it for most of my career, like I said, the opposite. So I've seen a lot of. I always would feel more comfortable with the seller getting the deal in the majority of my career. And I've always felt the buyer might, you know, in the short term, the buyer's probably going to have a property that's worth a little bit less. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, obviously, the last few years since COVID, it's been the opposite. So, yeah.
If we compare back then, like the market 10 years ago and today, in many ways, everyone is speaking how much it improved, all these documentation things, all these online things. But what do you miss the most, and what would you turn back from back 10 years ago and bring it to today?
Bring it to today. Well, there was a lot less agents, but there was a lot less areas. There's a lot less commissions back then. To do a big deal in those days, there wasn't that many luxury, big, expensive houses. There was Emirates Hills, some Palm Villas, and the majority of the other properties that were being sold were reasonably priced, you know, and really good agents that I know and knew would be making amazing money for the time. But now new agents come in and they just, I mean, the records are just being set every month. So
do you think it's not fair in a way? Like you have this 10 years experience, not only you, like some people, some big players in the market, they spent 10, 20 years, they gained this huge expertise, like really, really serious expertise. And they've been through all kind of deals and cases. And then just somebody new comes to the market and he closes, I don't know, 20 deals a month.
Yeah.
And he gains all this money, the same amount, maybe even more. Do you think it's the way it should be or something?
Well, it just
like to change?
I personally, I just think it's the way it is. So it doesn't matter how I feel about it or how anybody feels about it. It is what it is. You can only just do the best for yourself and put yourself in as many good situations to close deals and help as many people as you can. But it's not good or bad. It's just what it is, you know. And you have the same opportunity. If somebody else can do it, then you can also do it as well, you know. Yeah, that people get lucky, you know. We all know stories of people who have got lucky. I've been lucky myself. I've been very unlucky, but you know, it just is what it is.
Can you say that 10 years ago, when you just started, it was much easier to become noticeable in the market than it is today? Because today everyone has YouTube, TikTok, Instagram,
well,
everyone does social media. Do you think it's different in this way?
Not even 10 years ago. I think I started doing some videos in 2017, which was a really difficult market. Sometimes you felt like you couldn't give a property away for free in those days. and nobody was doing videos. So looking back, if we'd have seen where we are now, then it would have been easier because you'd have just done so much content and made a big brand. But I remember when I first started doing some social media, it was almost seen as a negative by most people, like to say you should just be doing your job. You're not making money doing a video. And I used to feel quite bad when I wasn't in the office. I'd be out doing a video for 3-4 hours, and I almost felt like it wasn't real work. It didn't, because I wasn't getting big views when I first started, and you don't get money from it. But looking back, I should have done more and should still do more. But what was the question? I think I've gone off track a little bit.
Yeah, but this is a totally different part I'm very, very curious about, because I don't know if everyone knows that you've been a Dubai real estate rock star of YouTube for a while. And this is like, by the way, I came across a lot of videos even before we met in person the first time. And you have more than 5 million views, you have 30,000 subscribers, and you were doing like pretty regularly and like as the full-time job. And then at some point you stopped, like couple years ago. And my biggest question is, I have a lot of questions about this, but my biggest one is, why did you stop? Because now you're selling as the developer, and this would help a lot in lead generation and all these things.
For sure. I think, to be honest, with content, you need to be constantly bringing good ideas to do content, and you need something exciting to talk about. And I think once I'd agreed to be part of the development team and build and sell this project, we sold it out, and we didn't really. That wasn't really a strategy to do the social media around that. I don't know. I maybe thought it wasn't interested enough for people just to look at one project, and I didn't really have time to look at other projects. So yeah, I wish I would have carried on doing more, but I didn't, and that's not regret. Like, I will do more from now on, and we will build up something special.
But to bring up and summarize your experience in doing YouTube for a while, because this is like, everyone is speaking today about building a self-brand, and you did very, very good at that. And more than that, back then, I bet you were one of the very, very few people who was doing this in Dubai. What do you think, like, what are the most tips and tricks you would give us, me, because I also develop YouTube channel, and like to everyone who is doing this, what would be the best way to make it today?
I don't want to sound like I know it all, because I don't, and I haven't really, in my mind, I haven't really even started yet. That was like a bit of a learning experience, and at that time, you could, there was no one doing it. Just like me and Dennis, and I think maybe a couple of people doing little videos, but no one really focusing on building a YouTube or a social media brand as an agent. So it was so much easier to stand out. So different times when I was doing it to now, but I would just say, one, you've got to be always thinking about who is getting value and watching the video. A lot of people are doing videos for themselves to look good and posting stuff like for their own self instead of thinking what the audience will get out of the video. I think that's important. The other thing is not just to focus on one platform. You need to look at everything and go wide and create content for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and come up with a strategy for everything. And, just be consistent. Don't overthink it, but also pay attention to how the content is performing and try and tweak it to make it better next time. So if you notice that you did a certain topic and no one really watched it and it wasn't great, or the comments weren't really there wasn't many people engaged in the content, then maybe try something else. And then on the other side, if you do something that's engaging and people really liked it and there's a lot of shares, then do more of that kind of content. And it's always about improving and learning and keeping up to date with all the different ways that the algorithms work, because they change a lot. Always experimenting, trying different styles. It's got to be relevant, right?
In general, what would be your definition of self-brand?
That's a good question.
Strong self-brand is?
Yeah, strong self-brand is, I think you've got to bring your own personality through in a big way. Build a loyal following, a loyal group of people that really like you as a person and what you do, and will follow you into whatever you decide to do, I guess. Having a brand is like having almost a family of fans that will just blindly follow you to go into whatever you want to go into. And that's important in this age because things change so much. If you really have a good brand, you can, you see the power of it on a bigger scale with huge celebrities in the US, and the fans, the brand that they have, follow them regardless. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the biggest return on investment for you from your social media?
The biggest return on investment for me was definitely my biggest record sale, which was 86 million dirhams. Mansion.
Wow. Congrats. That's
And
a lot.
yeah, it kind of happened. It's an interesting story. So I was doing a lot of videos, and you don't really see direct, because a lot of people would ask me, do you really make money from doing these videos? Because I was getting a good following. I was even getting noticed places. It was like people were recognizing me a little bit, which it is what it is. But people were like, I've done some videos, I don't get anything from it. So then they stopped. And I did a lot of videos, and I can't say for sure, I did this video and I made this much money. It doesn't work like that. But you spread your brand, and then things start to happen over time. So I was doing the videos on mansions and amazing properties on YouTube. Some of them were going quite good. Nothing had ever gone crazy, but it was going good. And then I was working predominantly in Dubai Hills, and I would always drive around the area to see what's being developed and what's going on. There's a street called the Street of Dreams, and one of the houses they were all shell and core houses.
Mm-hmm.
One of the houses, there was a bit of work going on, and I thought, why not? I had a bit of time. Why not try and find out who the owner is to see if he's building to sell? Maybe I can be involved in some way and help out. And I remember asking someone, one of the workers, they pointed me inside the house. They didn't really, I don't think they understood what I was saying, but they pointed me inside the house, and then another group of people inside the house, I approached them, and through the group of people, one guy came through and he said, "Oh my God, are you Liam Jeffrey?" And I was like, yeah. It was just so weird, and he was like, we watched all your videos. When we were buying the house, we were looking for ideas, and we know that you've done some videos in the area. And and he asked for a selfie, and we became good friends. And then they said, look, the family's not selling the house, we're building it for ourselves. But whenever you're passing by, keep in touch, see how it's progressing. We're always happy for you to look at the property. And we did keep in touch. And then one day, maybe a year or two later, they called me and said, good news, we're deciding to sell the house. You're the guy to do it. Let's make a plan. So I did. I signed the contract, exclusive. It took a bit of time. Villas at that level weren't selling in those days so fast. But then again, from my social media, and we didn't want to be out in the public, so I couldn't really do a showcase of that property. But I put a few things on, and I think people saw it, and then somebody saw it on, I think, Instagram. So I got the lead from social media, and then from my Instagram, somebody saw it, came along, viewed the house. I had so many viewings from different lead sources, but the closing one came from Instagram and saw the house, and we negotiated and we did the deal, and it was amazing. So
wow,
that was probably the biggest return.
Story. Yeah, and you gained 2 leads, right?
Exactly.
It's seller and the buyer.
Yeah. But then
That's
also
amazing.
It helped so much in other deals, just agents knowing that you're specializing in a certain area. They know that if they've got a good client, they're going to come to you. So yeah, it's definitely helped me on quite a lot of deals, but that was the biggest for sure.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Now, to summarize your experience as sales in real estate, of course, you keep going, but as for now, today, what is the tip of advice you would give to those who just starts their career in real estate?
Just starting in real estate, I would say, you got to be hungry. I think that's the most important thing, to be really hungry, to want to make it happen. And you've got to just, keep following up. Just listening to what the person wants, analyzing your conversations with people and thinking, how could I be better in the next conversation? Keep trying to improve. standing out, presenting in a different way, giving more information and value. Think about if you were the client, buyer or seller, what would you want from a conversation with a real estate agent? What information would you need in order to make a decision? And being able to understand that you might not always get every deal, and that's okay, but just keep going and enjoy it. And
what's the main advice you would give to your younger self?
To my younger self would
Liam,
be,
buddy, you need to...
yeah, to give more. I think to my younger self, I would just be happy, enjoy the process, keep going. These are not great answers, I understand, but just don't get too upset or emotional and attached to the negative days and bad experience, because there's a lot, there's a lot of no's, a lot of rejection. Don't get too disheartened. Keep positive. Enjoy the process. And one thing I would say is, what I've learned now is the power of your network a bit more. And I would say, as a younger self, keep in touch more with your clients. It was a little bit harder then because the buyers bought at a certain price and then lost a lot of money. So you weren't particularly...
You don't want to call them again.
Well, they did, and they might not want to call you either, Now it's a little bit easier because people bought since COVID. They made a lot of money and you're their best friend. But in those days, it was a little bit different. But definitely being able to, keep in touch and build build each client you get and deal. That should be like an added person into your network. And that's perhaps what I didn't do, because maybe the culture of those companies what I worked in the early days was very different. It was like
very
on to the
formal.
next, so you weren't really built. But I see some really good agents now that have brought clients to our project, and they're so good with staying connected. They're helping with all the payments, they're helping with the paperwork, they're really involved in the client, and they become more of a trusted advisor for that client and almost a friend. They have a really good relationship. Like a lot of the buyers, we've sold 280 units, and a lot of the actual owners, we've never really spoken to them. Everything's just through the agents, maybe because of the language barrier, but it's really good to see. And I can imagine if the client wants to sell or buy something else or wants advice, they're always going to go through that agent. So build a network. Service your leads, keep in touch with people.
But you come across so many agents from big companies, from small companies, best sellers, those who don't sell well. What do you think is the best thing that moves the agent forward and that defines a great agent, great seller from just the regular agent?
I've said this before a few times. I think being able to have a difficult conversation is so important. That's where all of the money is. And for some people, that's natural. Some people are naturally more assertive and they're happy with confrontation and they're comfortable, maybe because it's their upbringing. But some people aren't. But if you want to make money, that's just what it is. You've got to be able to be disagreeable in a way and put your ideas forward and have difficult conversations. It's very easy in real estate to just have an easy day where you go through the day. You might make it seem like you're busy. Even you can make a lot of calls, you can speak to a lot of people, do your emails, do some social media, and you can be exhausted at the end of the day. But unless you mentally challenge yourself to make difficult calls, if you just agree with everybody that you speak with, you're not going to make any money. All of the money is made in the difficult conversations because you've always got a gap that you need to fill. You've got a seller that wants a price and you've got a buyer that wants a good deal. If you just are agreeable with the seller and agreeable with the buyer, you're never going to cross that gap. You're never going to match the gap. So that's what makes a good agent, is somebody that can have difficult. It doesn't have to be like, when I say difficult conversations, you don't have to be like angry and aggressive and in the right way, but you can't just say, okay, great, that's fine, leave it. I'll get back to you. You've got to say, no, unfortunately, we've been working on this for 3 months now and we've not been able to get your price. There's a reason for that. And you've got to be able to and people respect it, I think. Not everyone. Like, you're not going to be able to work with every client.
Right.
There's some crazy people in the world. I've had some crazy experiences with buyers and sellers, but for the most part, you've got to be able to have those conversations. And if you don't, then you're not going to make money.
I see so many similarities between work of real estate agent and any entrepreneur
Yeah.
job. Like the wife of Elon Musk said, the good entrepreneur is the one who can handle a lot of stress. And
Yes.
this is what I feel about real estate. If you
Yeah.
can handle a lot of stress, the more stress you can handle, the more successful you get in this career.
Exactly. And I think some people are more naturally inclined to be like that. It's just their natural personality. You know, the people you have a conversation, and most people that you speak for the first time, you just agree with everything they say and you have a nice feeling. But then there's some people that are just disagreeable characters. And usually those people are really good at real estate because they'll be able to just naturally say, no, that's not right. Whereas someone like myself, I think the way that I am, I have to almost prep myself and plan what I'm going to say and have a plan of how I present an offer or how I move a conversation forward. If I just jump on a call and don't think about it, my natural inclination is just to be kind of, yeah, that's fine, don't worry about it. So
I also think that there is the connection with the sports. You
yeah,
mentioned that you've been to sports for so many years.
yeah,
And do you think there is this correlation between success in real estate and sports? Because it's similar things.
yeah, it's competition, which helps. Yeah, I think it can be a good thing if you're a competitive person, especially in some of the companies. You always want to be up on the leaderboard. But maybe that's just not sports. Maybe that's just the personality trait of competitiveness and just wanting to do more, push yourself. Like, yeah, you should never feel like you've done enough. You always feel like you can do more, and that's what's going to make you do more, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have so many questions also about your project because
Yeah.
you represent one of the most interesting, to my point of view, this is one of the most interesting projects in Dubai real estate market. And you remember I was selling this and I was offering to all my clients. I find this area in general is very, one of most perspective areas. Not a lot of people speak about Al Jadaf in general. If you ask someone, it's not, that much mentioned.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people from what I speak to, they know about Kempinski Residences, but you represent this project. It was sold out so fast.
Yep.
It's already there. Every day I pass by, and when I go home to Creek Cover, I pass by
you
and I
see it.
see the
Yeah.
construction's going on. It's going on so fast. So it's almost there. It's almost ready. How do you find this project now, today? And what is the next step from you as the developer?
Yeah. Well, the project's been a great success. And I knew when I first saw all of the plans, especially the resort that we have, I was so excited. I got like a butterfly feeling in my stomach because I knew that once I saw what the unique selling point of the project, it doesn't exist in a residential project in Dubai. It really doesn't. I mean, we have 155,000 square foot of landscaped resort. There's no other real residential project that has that. We have 5 swimming pools. We have paddle tennis, basketball, volleyball. There's a beach area, loads of walking trails, outdoor dining, coffee shop, restaurant, spa. And the views are amazing. I'm super close to downtown Business Bay, the IFC and the airport. So close to the main city. And yeah, it's an amazing project. It's been a big success, fully furnished, good sizes as well. It was good sizes. So I knew it was going to be easy to showcase the unique selling points of the project, and then I realized once I could understand those, I could easily pass that on to other agents who would be able to pass it on to their clients. So yeah, it's really good, big success. We just have one unit left, which is the penthouse. We just released it recently. We have announced it. It's a duplex 4-bedroom on the top 2 floors with a rooftop private infinity pool, and it's unbelievable. It's amazing. It's going to be one of the best views, I think, in the city. It's a real hidden gem. You mentioned about Jadaf, but we don't like to say Jadaf too much because people just automatically think of the opposite side of Al-Khail, which is completely different vibe, Here, we've obviously got the Ritz-Carlton just next to us, which is going to be a great project. But there'll be a hotel there, and obviously with the hotel, you have restaurants, you have facilities that can be used by everybody. So being next to that is definitely a selling point. We're next to the Swiss School, which is one of the most premium schools in the world. I think it's top 100 schools in the world. And there's so much plans for development of this area with the urban tech district that it's a healthcare city phase 2. And yeah, it's a great project. It's really
What's
good.
going to happen to this part with warehouses where they fix the boats, all this part? Will it be removed?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be removed. And if you go on the DDA website, you can already see that it's planned for future development. And from what I believe, this will become the urban tech district, which will be a space for startup companies, tech businesses,
Digital.
conference centers, co-working spaces, restaurants, coffee shops, beautiful commercial space. And that's just going to add so much value to the area. So I still think it's a really good investment long term. Like I said, I'm not going to say what it's going to be worth next year, but long term, it's a great place.
Yeah, and again, it's very, very close to Business Bay and downtown.
The main business districts of the city.
5 minutes drive, yes. And at the same time, you're close to nature. This is what I love the most about this.
Yeah. It's really amazing. Since I've been on the site a few times, even on the second floor, what's amazing to me is the water view. As soon as you open the door, you see the water. And it's not just like a small canal. If you know the position of the building, to the left side is a huge, big, vast expanse of water. You've got the creek to your left, which is home to, I don't know if it's still going to be the tallest tower in the world. I don't know what the plans are with that, to be honest, but it's an amazing skyline. And then you've obviously got the Burj Khalifa and downtown skyline on your right. So you've got both ways, both views. With the water, it's great, honestly.
Are you planning to come up to any new projects to the market?
We will. We're a boutique, so we're not rushing into anything. We want to get the right project for ourselves and our investors to make sure that we can deliver value. Prices are obviously very high right now. Most likely we're going to do something 5-star again with the brand. So it has to be the right deal. We've looked at a few, we've analysed quite a lot of plots over the past few months, and it just has to be the right deal. No rush. We want to make sure that this project goes smoothly. As of today, we're running ahead of schedule on construction, which shouldn't be, but it is very unique for this city. Everyone's amazed, like when you drive past and people call me up and go, "Oh my God,
wow, what is this?" Right?
Yeah, why is it so fast? And I'm like, it's not that fast. A little bit ahead of schedule, but. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but still.
It should be.
Yeah, for this,
for Dubai, it's
for Dubai
unique.
and for this new project. I mean, it's very, very moving on very right.
Yeah, it's really good. We're happy, super happy with it, and hopefully we deliver smoothly, good product. Everyone really likes it, and then, like I said before, the loyal customers that we built through this project will want to follow us into our next ventures.
If we speak in general about Dubai projects, what other areas, or maybe what other projects, you will not say about the projects probably, what other areas do you find most interesting for investment at the moment?
It depends, I guess, what type of investment you want, because there's difference between buying for capital appreciation and buying for a yield. A yield,
Maybe if we speak about upcoming areas
in general.
Yes. I don't know, Dubai Islands or Maritime City.
Maritime City seems to have some really nice projects.
Or Jebel Ali, I don't know, like
Jebel Ali, I haven't really looked into it too much. Again, I'll go back to like we discussed earlier on. If somebody would have told me, I mean, I used to take people to Dubai Hills. Honestly, our office was in the marina. I'd meet the client. We drive to Dubai Hills, and halfway there. After we got off Hesse Street, I'd get a call. The guys were behind me and said, "It's too far. I don't want to live out in Dubai Hills." Imagine now saying that. Dubai Hills is like central.
It's the same way, exactly the same way happened about Creek Harbor.
Yeah,
when I just joined my first company here in Dubai, and they said, pick up the area, choose the area you want to specialize in. And I'm like, oh, of course, Dubai Creek Harbor. And they were all so amused and surprised. They thought, Dubai Creek Harbor, like, where is this? Like, it takes forever to get there, especially from Marina.
Yeah.
It takes like 40 minutes to get there. Like, nobody really realized how powerful this place is for investment, and look at it is now. Like nothing you can find, no 1 bedroom you can find less than 1.6 at the moment.
And so you just wouldn't have thought that.
Yes.
So I guess just more wait and see what happens, and hopefully the city keeps growing, more people come, new areas. I love seeing like new areas being announced
But I think in general, if we speak about Dubai development, I'm not sure if you agree with me or not. Dubai makes such a healthy environment in terms of development. So whenever you put the seed anywhere, like in any space, let it be Dubai South or I don't know, Deira Islands or anywhere in Dubai, when you really put the seed into that and you just pour enough water, it will grow.
Yeah.
This is how I feel about Dubai in general. All the areas will be developed. Look
Yeah.
at what's going on about the greenery.
Yeah.
They make it greener, 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 more roads, more traffic, more accessibility. I mean, it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's really cool to see. I always think, I say to people, Dubai now is like New York in the early, I don't know, 1800s, where everybody was leaving Europe for a better life, better opportunities, and they were all heading to New York. And I would imagine in those days, the people would be saying the same thing, you know, because the subway would be being built, new roads would be being put in, new developments and different areas would be coming up. And that's what we have now, you know, everybody's coming to Dubai for a better opportunity. And the city's just growing. It's unbelievable to see the difference, even from 2013 when I first came to now. It's such a huge difference. I mean, there was literally just a handful of places where you would go for a meal or for, you know, a night out. Now people who are coming to Dubai, they ask me, where should we go? Like, you've been there for 11 years. Where's the good places for like restaurants? I'm like, I don't know. Have a baby. I don't go out anymore. You if you look on Google, you'll know more than me. I can't keep up. It's great. It's so cool.
If you go to the airport today and you look at all these planes outside, what would be the next country you would think? I would jump into the plane and I would fly to where was
To live or to
Yes,
holiday?
yes, to live, like
To
the
live.
same way you felt about Dubai.
I don't think there's any. I wouldn't want to move from Dubai, first of all, at this point. Yeah.
So in a way, it was one-way ticket, right?
Yeah. Well, now
To
it turns
Dubai.
out, yeah, exactly. It definitely has played out that way. When I first came, I didn't know Dubai, to be honest. And I didn't come because I'd done research on Dubai and thought it's a great place to live. I just thought I'd give it a go and see. Yeah. I didn't really think, let's have a look at all the world and see where I want to go and strategize and plan. I just kind of, it was lucky that we chose Dubai, to be honest. Yeah, it could have been anywhere, I guess. If a job would have came up in, I don't know, Spain, I probably would have gone, you know. I just wanted to do something different. So, yeah.
That's nice.
But I'm so happy that we chose Dubai. One thing that I was discussing with a friend yesterday, you know, the way that, like, usually powerful leaders and powerful people get corrupted by having power, and they, you know, and it just doesn't turn out well. Historically, you see people with big power, like, you know, in the UK, it's a democratic society. There's voting and leaders are chosen. But in the past, you know, we had the royal family who would come in and be a dictatorship, and it never really ends well. But for Sheikh Mohammed to do what he's done and build what he's built, having so much power, it's amazing that he opened it up to the world. And yeah, it's really inspiring, and so lucky that we have him as a leader, you know.
Yeah. If we speak about next step in self-promotion or promotion the brand, today it's Instagram, it's podcasts, it's TikTok, YouTube. What do you think would be the next step?
Well, I guess we don't know, right? But there will be other steps.
Just
so
like
I think
if
what's
we
important.
just drop some ideas in
I
the
think
air.
what's important is not what will be next; it's how you prepare for what's next. And I think it's a mindset of being able to not be so fixated on one format. For example, people who were really big on Instagram, when TikTok came along, they didn't want to go back to do TikTok and start on zero because their ego, I have 100,000 followers on Instagram. I'm not going to go and try TikTok because
From
then I
zero,
have to start from
right.
zero. And that's not the attitude. I think to be successful over the long term, you need to be experimenting with all the new platforms and ideas, but also going back to the older ones as well, because they change the algorithm and the way they work. For example, LinkedIn, I think is a huge tool now. Yes. I'm speaking to myself to do more on LinkedIn.
Me too.
But getting better at LinkedIn, creating a strategy to do it all is going to be key, I think. To do it all and to do it well, because the way that you post on TikTok should be different to the way that you post on YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. You know, you need to create content for the person that's using that platform, not just for yourself. And that's how I think you'll be successful. But as for the actual platform, which will be big in 5 years, I don't know what it's going to be.
But what's next? Like, if we see the line how it went through, it was beginning with the text, then we had photo formats, then we have video now that is still going on. Now we have video plus audio in terms of podcasts.
Yeah, now you have long
What
form.
is maybe some sensitive things for kinesthetics?
Yeah.
When you put this helmet on and you like feel more than you hear
Have
or
you tried
see.
the headset?
It's 3D. If we speak about interior design, this is what we did with our clients in my construction business.
Yeah. All this is going to become normal. It's going to become more accessible. I have the headset. I watch, I use it sometimes, and it's just the start. But we're all going to be using these headsets. And it will just be like having glasses or contact lenses. But we're all going to be in this virtual world, whether we like it or not. So when you have opportunity to be involved and create media for these platforms, then you got to try it. You can't be so stubborn to say, I'm going to stick to what I know. A really successful long-term business will always grow and adapt with the times.
Why don't developers, by the way, sell using these VR things? When you take the client, put him
because
in
right
the
now
middle of the construction.
There's not enough incentive and motivation from developers to do so, because they're selling everything out in a few days anyway.
That's
You know,
the buy.
maybe when the market becomes a little bit more difficult, then they will have to be creative and try new ways to attract clients and stand out from the other.
Okay.
Good answer.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, I never like to be overconfident on anything specific, because I think I'm humble enough to understand that I don't know a lot of things.
But that's
and nobody knows
such
a lot
a
of
right
things.
position, really.
Yeah.
When you feel like you know everything, or you know everyone, or like everything has already been happening, you have everything behind. I think so.
Yeah.
When you look forward and you look at the things you don't know, you don't really experience yet, I mean, that's what's moving forward, and that's
100%.
what help you,
It's true.
to achieve something. Okay, thank you so much for this interesting conversation.
No problem.
Yeah, I got so inspired by so many things you've mentioned, and I'm sure you have such a great future ahead of us in Dubai.
Let's see where we are in another 10 years.
Yes. Okay, thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.